Welcome back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today. So we discussed the health of the economy, and now we're talking about your heart health. And here's an interesting fact. The number of heart attacks tend to increase around the holiday season. A lot of people didn't know that, myself included, but we have two doctors joining us who are going to tell us all about it. We have Dr. Jorge Hidalgo and Dr. Pedro Arriaga, both internal medicine and adult intensivist, both working with the KHMH as well. Mm-hmm. Good morning and welcome.
That's right, good morning and welcome. Like Marlene mentioned, around this time of the year is when we see the increase in heart attacks. People tend to let themselves down. Don't worry about what they should eat, or don't worry about what I'm eating. Why is this happening, and what can one do to eventually try to lower the risk?
Okay, well, first of all, we need to start saying that coronary heart disease, and especially heart attack, is one of the leading causes of death around the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, Belize is included. No? Actually, one of the strong initiatives that the World Health Organization is promoting now is the non-communicable diseases. That include coronary vascular diseases, cancer, pulmonary conditions that are more or less now causing an important mortality around the world, and heart disease is one of the leading causes of that. And low-income countries and middle-income countries are in the platform as the most cause of death. No? I mean that Belize is not an exception. And having said that, usually during this time, one of the most important reasons among others is that most of the time we don't want to. Christmas is coming. We don't want to. We want to postpone our visits to the doctor. No? Mm-hmm. Say, okay, let's do it after the Christmas, and of course the indulgence of the season. No? We have liquor, we have a lot of food, and all those things. No, I don't know. You want to add something to?
Yeah. And nothing really much. Stress is also supposed to be part of the Christmas holidays. And Dr. Hidalgo say, proper screenings and exams. And they're supposed to be. One of the most leading causes of the mortality in this country is diabetes and hypertension too. Mm-hmm. People aside maybe obesity, because nobody pay attention to obesity, but those kind of things, if you don't take care of yourself, and the indulgence during the holidays too, is also causing a terrible predisposition for patients to have heart conditions.
It is, it's fascinating when you think about it. I think the top 3 days are Christmas, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day. And I want to ask, because this information really comes from the American Heart Association, so we don't necessarily have data to be able to validate it, but I know that you all have anecdotal experiences. You're in the hospitals, you are very aware as to what takes place. Do we also see an increase here of heart attacks around this time?
It seems to happen a little bit more often. We don't see a lot, but definitely we see cases, a little bit more cases than
so
usual.
There's a rise.
No? Right. Right.
Now, key to that is the lifestyle choices, as you pointed out, which is a lot of people are eating what they shouldn't eat or don't normally eat around this time of year. A lot more alcohol. And of course, the fact that a lot of people are feeling extremely stressed, trying to meet all the financial burdens or even having to see family around this time of year. What are some of the things that people can do to try to remember that their heart health is important, or their overall health is important, so that it doesn't become a sad season for the rest of their family?
Well, one of the most important things is if you have symptoms and if you know that something is going on with your health, don't postpone the visit to the doctor. No, come to see the doctor as early as possible to avoid any inconvenience. No, we don't want to inconvenience family during those times. But if we are having a heart attack, we want to have a huge inconvenience for them. No? And it's best if we can prevent to reach to that stage. And then if you have symptoms, you have a discomfort in the chest, you feel any pressure, or you have already a predisposition, like you're hypertensive and you have diabetes, come to do your checkup before things get worse. No?
Yeah.
We know that, especially in the Christmas season, folks might say, you know what, I'll eat whatever I want. I walk for miles at a time. I probably walk from the Belcan Bridge, following the bus. Thereafter, I live all the way in Port Loyola, and I walk. I think that I'm healthy, so I could eat whatever I want for the Christmas. What do you say to these people who would think that, you know what, I know for a fact that I'm healthy, so I'm able to eat anything around the Christmas season, especially?
I don't know. I believe, that the lifestyle is something supposed to be across the year, not only for Christmas or the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
My resolution for next year is supposed to lose 10 pounds, 50 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever. Really and truly what is happening is that for us to lose 1 pound of weight, we're supposed to have a restriction at least 3,500 kilocalories. So that means that even you do the walking in the morning time, you lose maybe 200 calories or 250 kilocalories. Eating 1 plate of rice, that means you fulfill that thing, more than 3,000 kilocalories. So you're not gonna be able to lose weight and control your weight, you're overeating. Yeah. So definitely, you have to pace yourself eating. And try to remember that there are some other conditions. Even you feel all right, sometimes there are underlying conditions supposed to be taken in consideration. So I don't feel healthy, I don't mean that you're 100% healthy, right?
Yeah. And you spoke about it earlier, and you said people dismiss it at this point, but we can't. When we say that our statistics are 2 out of 3 people are either overweight or obese, we know we're facing a problem, and we know that obesity is a main risk factor for many other diseases, your diabetes, your hypertension, your very same cardiovascular diseases. Now, let's talk about how we can properly manage or get around to reducing the level of people who are overweight or obese in the country.
I've been having very close relationship with the diabetes issue in the country.
Yeah.
And I think almost 10 years ago, there was something called the CAMDI. It was an initiative where they supposed to do a study, or not supposed, they did a study on diabetes in this country. And we found that more than 60% of females, especially females, after 35 years of age, they were overweight compared to males. They tend to be less, but not completely different. And only 15% of patients have more than 35 years of age in this country that do physical activity, constantly. I'm talking about maybe 15 minutes time, 20 minutes time, 3 times a week. So the predisposition, and high levels of diabetes, obesity, and lack of physical activity, poor diet, those kind of things will make the situation worse. Cigarette, alcohol, all those things are part of the same process.
Well, we know for a fact that when you mention alcohol, this is definitely the height of the season in terms of jumping into want to drink alcohol, or then again drinking alcohol. But there is a situation that I wanted to ask about, and that is, I see a rise, or folks have been seeing a rise of that for folks who are between the ages 40 to 50 or 40 to 60, with a situation, and I know of one whereby this individual was very active, walking from point A to point B, speed walking and whatnot. Thereafter, a situation derived whereby she was not able to move as fast because she tended to get tired really quickly. It stemmed out then thereafter looking like pneumonia, and there are a lot of people dying from this. Can you pinpoint what this is? Because we've heard of a lot of deaths because of this, especially with young people, 40 to about 50.
Right. What happened in I don't know if the high performance athletes, you see those that usually are in the field and they suddenly die. And there are people that are very active. And then what we found in those young people is that they have a condition that is called cardiomyopathy, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and it's essentially the muscle of the heart is thick. Then it don't allow enough blood in the heart to pump to the system. But most importantly, this particular type of condition triggers rhythm problems, and some of the rhythm of the heart could be malignant, and then those patients die suddenly. But we're illustrated just trying to show what happened in a heart attack. that we have. I don't know if I can do that, but
Yeah.
usually what normally happens is that we have the plaque of cholesterol. You see this yellow one? And then this plaque narrows the flow of the blood in the artery. But most importantly, when we have a rupture of the cholesterol plaque, then that allows a formation of a clot there, and the clot caused a completely obstruction of the artery, the lumen of the artery, and that leads to the death of this muscle.
So no blood goes in.
No blood, exactly.
Yeah. And
That's
therefore it kills the muscle.
That is a heart attack.
Yeah. And that plaque doesn't just develop overnight.
That's right.
So there are symptoms that you can be able to detect before. Let's talk about, you already know your risk factors. You know you're heavy. You know that you're not active. Perhaps you know that your age puts you at risk. All of these other things. Right. But how do you know what you're feeling, what type of feeling or symptoms that you have means that you should definitely go and check on your heart?
Well, we're going back to risk factors again, this is extremely important. We're talking about preventive medicine.
Yes.
Because we're talking about, medicine that is supposed to be treating the patient by itself. It's extremely expensive to deal with a patient supposed to have cardiac attacks, because they need to get stents or get some bypass and blah, blah, blah. But in general, again, a patient that have hypertension, patient have diabetes, they are the top risk, to have cardiovascular diseases. And obesity also is part of the same process. So again, the best thing that you can do is try to check your routine evaluations and screenings by the doctor, and check with the clinic, be sure everything, complete physical evaluation, do a screening every year, everything is fine, just move. But again, some patients have some more conditions they underline that we're not able to detect sometimes, and they need to be having a special test. But the only way to do that is check with your physician and be sure everything is fine.
Let's face the fact. Do your annual check, which is very important. But let's face the fact. To a lot of people, a doctor is a scary person. I'm just saying, because it's the reality.
Men, to a lot of men. Men access healthcare. No, this is fact. Men access healthcare less than women.
So what would you guys say would be best home remedies, especially if you're not feeling too well, you want to lower your risk of cholesterol, your risk of a heart attack, and there might be something in the home that we could say that could be used, to eventually feel even better or to lower these risks. What do we have? Do we have any local remedies that we could use at home?
Well, I think some more time local remedies is the style of life.
Okay.
We can change. We can probably try to be more active. The way we are living now is an excuse. We are getting too busy. We don't have time to exercise. A huge amount of our people commute. Some of them lives probably Corozal, San Ignacio very early in the morning, reach Belize around 7, leave Belize around 5, reach home 7. It's very difficult to find 20 minutes or half an hour to exercise. But then some of the recommendations, if you are in a group that you feel you are too busy, probably park the car a little bit a way that you can walk a little bit more. If you have a place that you have elevator, trying to use the steps, stairs, and then trying to make changes in your the way you are eating. But that's the next thing. You are coming from far, and then most of the times it's very difficult for you to bring your food. You need to eat whatever is available, and sometimes it's not the best.
Smaller portions.
Right, exactly, the portions.
I want to tap into one of the things that you have been mentioning, and it is critical. Sometimes fitting in exercise, just by the outline that you gave, which is a very realistic situation for people, it seems overwhelming. When do I find the time when I have to take care of the kids, get to work, feed the family, whatever it is? How much at the basic minimum, and we want to say basic minimum means it's just heart health and not weight loss, should we be getting in as adults?
Well, just to not sound redundant, but I think what we're supposed to be developing, and this is at home, is awareness. So people are supposed to be self-conscious of what is happening in their surroundings, all our surroundings, and be sure where we're standing. You know, I believe, you know, that we supposed to be having the best control in what we eat, in what we do every day, and what we supposed to be eating and drinking, because you know. When you go to a party in this country, the most of the time, you know, you think it's just soft drinks, you know, and alcohol, and a whole bunch of rice, and a lot of gravy, and a lot of good stuff, you know.
You get
so
some
that's what we
fried
eat, no? Fried chicken.
I love gravy.
So, so people will eat those things. This is the reality of this country, you know.
Being that we're on tips for...
I want to go back to my answer with the exercise, because we hear it. I mean, I do these segments every week, and really and truly, I think sometimes people don't understand that just being able to sacrifice 20 to 30 minutes a couple times for the week is a start. It's not the ideal, but what is the minimum?
The thing is, there's no minimum. The problem here is that we have been overwhelmed by the media, not in general, you know, because there's in this advertisement where you do 10 minutes, you know, time, you know, 3 times a week, and this is not enough, you know. For you to have this, you have to do more than that. You know, you're supposed to have at least maybe half an hour, you know, 3 or 4 times a day, a week, sorry, and be sure that everything is there, control your diet. So exercise is something that you need to be aware again, and you need to allocate time for that. So you come with any excuse that you're supposed to be doing, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Wake up half an hour early. Or you want to do something at home, you could do watching TV and do walking. You could do, you know, walking on in the same place, so you get a treadmill and do the thing, get your standing bicycle, and then you do watch news and this kind of things, you know. If you are a family, or you have a husband, you have a wife, the husband will take care of the children and the rest of the stuff. Meanwhile, the wife is doing that thing, and then afterwards, you know, the wife will take care of the children and the rest of the stuff, and the husband will allocate time for that. So we have to make
children are learning that they have to be able to do this as well. That's the only way they'll pick up the practice. Now, I love that because, and not only I see some people doing walking, but it's so slow, you know, they're having full conversations, not even out of breath. It's ideally to get your heart pumping, right, when you're talking about getting in some exercise.
Well, the thing is, again, going back to the situation, it's a very complex thing. It's not just the fact that you do exercise. It depends on what kind of condition you have. If it's maybe just obesity with diabetes, hypertension, or you're a normal patient, if you want to lose weight, and you want to do, you have to be an extra. For losing weight is not an easy task, you know. You have to make time for exercise and time to control your diet. And, you know, pace yourself when you're eating. This is a problem. So again, you know, it's just, I do exercise and I do walking. Yes, you walk for maybe half an hour, but when you go home, you know, get that plate of rice and beans, fried jacks, and this kind of things, you know. So this is a problem, you know. You have to be aware of what is happening. You need to develop that sense of awareness and self-consciousness and say, okay, listen, this is a different time. I will pace myself. I will take my time to eat. I will take time for do exercise. I will ask my beloved husband, my beloved wife to take care of the children, and I will do these kind of things. Midday, instead of going and eat the rice and beans and kind of things, take your time and you could go to the gym to the midday, you know, these kind of things. Grab from your refrigerator fruits and vegetables, you know, and get your salad, take with you instead of eating the regular kind of stuff we have in the streets, you know.
Then again, it's not only just walking, and because your body tends to get used to the distance that you go, you know, and so because your body is so used to that, you tend to control your breathing with the distance you go. And I've noticed this while jogging. While you want to go around the block, you're so used to it, so you're able to control your breathing. Your heart actually beat at a constant level. It's more about pushing yourself, you know. So this is one of the things that I think folks should take heed of. But while on the tip for a heart happy Christmas, can you tell us how dangerous it is, especially during the Christmas season, of mixing alcohol with energy drinks?
Well, back again to I want to back to the question you asked me at the beginning with the young people. The energy drinks have a lot of stimulants, no? Caffeine, a very high content, and some stimulants that essentially are going to trigger rhythm problems, and then you can. What happens with those type of mixing these drugs is that you can have a bad rhythm problem, and then you can have a sudden death. That's with alcohol. Now with the meals, what happens is that you are eating a little bit more than usual. Then suddenly this morning you start the day and you feel that you have probably a little bit of discomfort, and you are made responsible to the huge meal you have last night. Oh, probably I have an indigestion. And then it's not an indigestion, no? And then having a heart attack. I mean, if you have an unusual symptoms, just seek attention. Don't wait too long, because could be late.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And it's better to go to the doctor and find out it's just indigestion than to stay home and miss a heart attack.
And there's just to reinforce what he's saying, Dr. Hidalgo is saying, I think the use of drugs in young people too,
Yes.
it's tremendous, The psychedelic drugs, talk about marijuana is very controversial, but cocaine and those kind of stuff, they have been increasing dramatically in the past years too. So, and those kind of psychedelic drugs could predispose the patient to have heart attacks and malignant arrhythmias, and the patient finish in hospital.
One of the things,
and I think we underestimate the level of drug use in the country as well, because it's so clandestine, people don't see it.
Right.
So to be able to address one more issue, because I know you're here for heart health, but I also know how much both of you have been very dedicated to critical care work and trauma care, and we know that this is also the season where we see a lot of road traffic accidents, and the type of emergencies that you're called out for during this time of year. I know you don't get to enjoy your Christmas the way you'd like. So let's do just a general warning. For all the years of experience that you have had, and what happens around this time of year, what do you want to tell people about what they can do to ensure their own safety, and of course to know that they're not going to be robbing their families of any loved one or their own lives?
Well, I think so. Since we are talking about the alcohol, and I saw your segment a couple of days ago, in terms of the use of alcohol and driving, I think so. The most important thing is, if for some reason you believe you are going to drink, then allow somebody to drive.
Yeah.
Don't drive. If I'm sure you are going to drink, don't drive. And as well, if you say, well, nobody is going to drive, just myself, then don't drink.
Yeah.
And it's the worst combination, and it's probably one of the most important reasons why we see a lot of accidents. And sometimes also take your precautions, because probably, and that's happened very often, you are not drinking, you are with your family driving, but someone is coming on a very high speed, drunk, and then you can end in an accident that you are not thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, just take your extra precautions, especially if you're going to be in the road driving.
Yeah.
so
and people even get alcohol poisoning around this time because they drink so much as well, right? Or,
Get intoxicated.
yeah.
So while we're on the topic of alcohol, one of the things that is very common here is that getting home when you're intoxicated, the next thing you want to do is get a big bite. You want to eat a lot of food. Can you address this? How dangerous this is?
Well, again, everything is in moderation. We can abuse. And one more time, if you are drinking and you are eating excessively, chances that you end up with an alcohol intoxication, food poisoning are higher. And you end up with a bad indigestion next day. But again, don't mix the indigestion and trying to recognize what is indigestion and then what is a heart problem, but trying to combine both things.
I think, the thing is, you need to pace yourself again, and say, develop that sense of awareness. You say, well, listen, if I get intoxicated, get drunk, I don't know how to control myself, So why are you supposed to not only look ridiculous in front of people, but also it's the fact that you're supposed to be having control. You see, if you have intoxication with drugs or with alcohol, then you have lost under control, and then you're gonna overeating, you're gonna be driving in excessive speed, and some other things, So developing the self-awareness is extremely important. You have to be aware what is happening. If you use any drugs, you have to pace yourself. You say, I don't want to drink because I know I lose control, control everywhere. Right?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to include drinking. It can also be distracted driving, right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. You're talking about text driving and those kind of things. But in general, also, if
it takes a conscious effort.
because there are some other things that they have to be careful during Christmas too. We have something called the Center for Disease Control, ABC and BBC. They can report this called toy horrors too. For example, like piercing, slapping, cutting gifts and this kind of thing that cause injuries. And more than 6,000 emergency calls in the United Kingdom and in the United States related to this kind of things. Christmas lights, you have to be careful with Christmas lights. People, they sell the Christmas lights for years and this kind of thing. They throw away all those things and the electrical injuries, and trying to fix the thing for yourself, by yourself is a problem there. So you have to be careful, no? Yeah. So fasten your seat belts. You have to fasten your seat belts. You have to be aware of those kind of things. How many on the other hand, use your helmet when you're sitting on a motorbike or a bicycle? We don't do that. We don't enforce those things that are so important. People drunk or driving a bicycle without a helmet, and they injure themselves, especially when they are drunk and intoxicated.
Yeah. Wow. Or to reiterate the message from earlier this week, wearing bright colors if you're going to be on the road to help drivers, but also protect yourself. Now we got to round it back in terms of our heart health conversation or just general health and safety over the Christmas. And as I indicated earlier, I know you spend quite a bit of time seeing different patients go through different things. You mentioned, Dr. Arriaga, your work with the Diabetes Association and understanding the psychological side, I guess, of diabetes and maintenance. What's your advice to people about not taking the chances that we know diabetics take around this time in terms of diverting from diet?
We try to be, the way how we see patients suffering from diabetes has been changing dramatically concerning the diet aspect, Because years ago we used to reinforce the idea that patients with diabetes are supposed to be having strict diets and this kind of things. I think it's just it's not just the diet. It's a more complex thing than that. It's medications, it's dieting, it's exercising, it's those kind of things. Pace yourself when you're eating, So certainly a lot of people, we overeat during the holidays, So again, you have to develop that.
I like that you say we, so you guys are human too.
Yeah. So we got to develop that sense of awareness. Yeah. You have to pace yourself. You have to stop and think, why is supposed? Humans, we know we are not very good on that. So we do things and we don't think, the consequences what you're supposed to be doing. So you need to stop. You know that you're eating too much. Try to put your fork and your spoon, besides. Take a bite, and just wait, and then you eat. Give a chance for that stomach signals to go to the brain and tell you, listen, you're full, you're not supposed to eat anything extra. Yeah. One, try to avoid to pace yourself, and so taking your food, in 5 minutes, like we do sometimes, that you're supposed to be doing is taking maybe half an hour, do your things. Try to establish conversation with your family. Enjoy those times, pace yourself. It's not a matter of just checking your sugar, it's a matter of interacting with diet, exercise, and self-awareness. It's extremely important. You need to understand that something is wrong that you're doing. And for you to do that, you need to pace yourself. So I had to stop. It can't continue the same way.
That's extremely hard. But like you mentioned, pace yourself. But while time is not on our side, Dr. Hidalgo, can you once again tell the viewers the signs and symptoms of a bad heart, like for a fact that of a heart attack?
Well, you see in the picture right here, and we usually say the time is muscle. We have something that is called the golden hour, in the sense that if you have symptoms, like you have a pain in the shoulder, you have, especially in the left side, the pain can be radiated to the jaw. You start to sweating, you feel lightheadedness, nausea, then don't wait too long. Go to the hospital, seek medical attention, because if we are able to see the patients in the initial hour until the 3 hours that the symptoms start, is a lot of things that can be done to save your life, and most importantly to save the muscle, and make the heart, give a better chance to the heart.
We can offer at the hospital acute, angiographies tests that check with the dye the circulation of the heart. But we could be able to supply medication that help us to stop the progress of the blocking of the arteries, and they are available even at public hospital right now. So I think the sooner you check yourself with the doctor, the better. So you don't wait alone. So you feel uncomfortable, go and check. Especially for males, as Marlene said, because males, we don't like to go and see a doctor sometimes.
Afraid of the doctor.
No, but what happens is then they wait till emergency situations and they die more from things that they shouldn't be dying from. So we'll always encourage the men to go to the doctor, do their checkups, and get there early. There is also the rule in terms of taking aspirin if somebody feels the symptoms. Is it effective? Should we attempt it?
If we are experience those symptoms, and then one of the things that you can do immediately at home is, if you have available aspirin, you can have 2 baby aspirins, you chew it, and trying to seek attention as soon as possible, as things that can be done immediately in the event of you notice that all the symptoms that we are picturing there, you're experiencing them. Some of the symptoms of heart attack in women could be atypical. No, they don't usually present it with all the symptoms. But back to the diabetes, also the patients with diabetes, they most of the time have a atypical presentation of a heart attack. I mean, and we see sometimes and mention silent heart attacks. So you just have a mild discomfort, something that is not very usual, but then you say, okay, it's just a mild discomfort, and then passes, and then you say, okay, I will postpone the visit for next year. No, and if you have anything, don't delay. Trying to seek attention as soon as possible. This is time to be spent with the loved ones, with the family, and trying to enjoy it as much as we can.
All right. Well, we are so grateful that you came in this morning to be able to share these tips, and hopefully people have listened and will try to practice a bit of self-control and consideration for themselves and their family during the holiday season.
Right.
The last thing, maybe you have to try to mind your step, because one of the most common reasons why you go to the emergency is falls, during the holiday season. So you have to control yourself, pace yourself, mind the step, before you do it. Just move slowly and pace yourself.
That can be the best. For people who trip over flat surfaces, watch out for the flat surfaces. But that is a good one, yes. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead now and take a break. When we come back, we'll be moving into a Christmas feature for today, talking about how to make your own centerpieces. So stay tuned.